Parker. I'm from Western. I'm a distributor of MSA. I'm a local boots on the ground, I guess you could say. Joe heard this the other day, but I wanted to thank Black Lake McLean for continuing the relationship with MSA. This pack has been out for about 4.5 years. One of the first adopters in Christian County was Tumwater. Then Mblfd jumped on board, and then next few folks. It's been a really well received pack. First generation certainly had its fair share of bugs, but it's worked out. If you have worked with this pack in any other departments, there's a lot of little details of improvements that have happened over the years, so just something to make it better. But with that said, we're going to just jump right in and start with the mask. Okay. There's going to be lots of little things that we go through this. So we talk about cleanliness, what makes it easier to clean. And so with that said, we're going to start with the head net. On your existing mask, if you were to take the head net off, it probably feels like you're going to tear out that rubber piece that's inside of there, and then getting it back on is like wrestling a bear. Now it's quite a bit easier to remove this. There's these 4 tabs at each corner. Okay, and then this will just snap onto the front of the tab. How I like to take it apart is that you kind of pinch this tab, get your hands on the tab to anchor it, and then you just take the buckle and push it forward. Okay, and then this comes off. Again, the whole anchoring piece is just to make sure that it doesn't push away from you. Okay, so like I said, with this right here, it's this circular piece back here, fold it over, so I got just a good handle on it, push it forward, and then it comes off. Get it back on, put it over a little bit, pull it, and it pops into place. Okay? There's 5 of these anchor points on the mask, 4 of them you can see, and then another one is right up here on top. It sounds like you folks have been rather successful with fit testing. If you do have one that just cannot seem to pass, that you have a blow-by right up here, there is another head net that has a fit tightening anchor that can go right here, just as a heads up. Okay? So taking the head net off is quite a bit easier. Toss it in the washing machine, extractor, whatever it may be, put it back on. Okay? The mask itself, over here on the right side, is going to have a letter, either S, M, or L for small, medium, or large. Okay. Additionally, these same tabs that I was talking about are color-coded. So if it's green, that means it's a small mask. If it's black, it means it's a medium, and if it's gray, it means it's a large. And then additionally, the nose cup on the right side, right by the top of the nose, the nose cups come in a small, medium, or large as well. So if you have a small mask, you can have a small nose cup, so on and so forth, but they're entirely interchangeable. So if you fit into a mask, say a large, but a medium nose cup would have been a little bit better for you. You can swap them out. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and have everybody take out their nose cup and just set it to the side. Although the 2018 standard change hasn't officially rolled out, we're all in 2019, and it looks like the 2018 might even turn into a 2020. But this mask is compliant to the 2018 standard. There's just a few things with buddy breathers that they're still working out, so it doesn't have anything to do with the mask. Previous gen lenses were rated to 350 degrees. Under the new standard, they're rated to 500 degrees. On the lens itself, there's a polycarbonate layer, and that polycarbonate layer is to help kind of prevent scratching from happening on the lens. If you do start to see the polycarbonate layer maybe bubble or come up, that would be the canary in the coal mine for crazing. Crazing looks totally different than if the polycarbonate layer comes apart. Crazing looks like almost lizard skin or reptile skin. And so if that happens, like I said, I mean, you got close, but it didn't happen. It will be something that would need to be fixed and sent out. MSA is actually in places under warranty. I've only seen it happen 2 times. And right now, at least in my neck of the woods, which is Kingfisher, Lewis, and Taos County, there's about 1,500 of these masks out in service, but I've only seen it happen 2 times. Okay? So that's more of a heads up. High car rubber, same material that MSA has used for an awfully long time. If for any reason, once these things go into service, somebody has an allergic reaction to it, we do have a silicone-based one. Just give us a heads up and get it taken care of. All right? That's another super few and far between one as well, that there is a fix if it does so happen. And it does happen by a lottery ticket because you are in, you're definitely out of the norms. Looking inside of the mask, this gold circle inside of there is a mechanical speaking diaphragm. Part of the 2013 standard was something called STI, or Speech Transmission Index, and that was able to measure both volume and legibility of your speaking voice outside of the mask without electronic communications. Okay, so when you're on air, this gold piece right here is what actually brings your voice outside of the mask. Comes out the sides over here. Okay. Looking inside of the mask, you have two dashboards. The one on the right with the 4 dots, that's your traditional 4-dot heads-up display. How this rings down is 4 green dots will be 175% of your remaining air. 3 green dots will be 75 to 50%. 2 flashing amber will be 33 1/3 to 50%. And then anything below 33% will be flashing red, and you will be in a pneumatic alarm with the ringing bell. Okay. My understanding is that it's going to be a change from where you're at right now, and that your bell will ring at 25% with your in-service packs that you have today. Okay, so just as a heads up. On the left side, you have 3 little things. One looks like a AA battery, a running guide, and a triangle. AA battery, well, that means it's intact if you have a low battery. Okay, that will start to flash at you, and the SCBA will beep at you. Okay. If that does turn on, we'll talk about the battery a little bit more down the road, but if that does turn on, you have 3 hours of cylinder after cylinder after cylinder continuous usage of the SCBA, 3 full hours, non-stop, okay? So if it does start to beep at you, it's not the end of the world. Whoever's in charge of the scene will probably ask you to step out and get a new battery, but it's not like the battery's gonna turn off on you anytime soon, okay? Next is a running guide. This is not enabled on your SCBAs. What it is real quick, because MSA has a telemetry system where an instant command can monitor the SCBA, is it an alarm, how much air do you have, various other things. This would be the ability to issue an all clear, so it would turn on. It won't ever turn on, but that's what it's there for, okay? And then finally the triangle is something's going on with the SCBA. Probably 9.8 times out of 10, you're in pre-alarm, which means that the pack's been still for 18 seconds, and you'll start to get your first round of pre-alarm, okay? This will blink different patterns, and will even have different colors. You guys don't need to memorize the Morse code of that per se. Whatever's going on with the SCBA, just refer to the control module, okay? If you have rapid air loss or something like that, it's going to be an icon of a cylinder with little air things coming out the side, okay? High heat, that would be 500 degrees inside the control module. You'll get a big red thermometer, okay? So it's going to be pretty obvious what's going on with the SCBA if this thing starts to blink at you, all right? Any questions on that? Okay. Down here at the bottom is your exhalation valve. When this pack first came out, the exhalation valve would actually start to get sticky and stuck. That has been fixed on these. How you know that it has been fixed is there's a punch dot right up here on the component housing, right up here. What was happening is that the exhalation valve was seated onto a nylon component. Nylon is porous, so as you would breathe, sweat, saliva, sugars, whatever, it would start to build up down there. And then you do it again, another layer, do it again, another layer, and eventually it would start to stick. And so you try to breathe out, you couldn't breathe out, and you would burp the mask. Now this would start to show itself after about 1.5 years to 2 years of usage if you've never ever cleaned your mask one time, okay? So that's gonna be mitigated or go away. Still clean your mask. I mean, it's just a good thing to do. Keeping your exhalation valve clean will help when you do fit testing in the future. I definitely have gotten the calls of, I can't pass my fit test, you know, what's the deal? Adrian, we hate these things. You're the worst guy in the world. Come down and fix this right away. Lo and behold, I come down there and there's pine needle through the exhalation valve or there's drywall in there. Okay, so that's not really a MSA thing. That's more of a maybe try cleaning your mask once. I mean, they've been in service for 2.5 years. Okay, so it's still going to be important to clean it. Not nearly as important, but still, though, I mean, this. So with cleaning it, since there's no electronics on this mask, you can do a full submersion, switch it around, pull it out, wipe it down, and then hang it up. Okay, you want to hang it up going this way, so any water that might have gotten behind where your chin rests will pour out. Okay. With no electronics, it makes it way easier to clean because you don't have to start to take things off of it. Okay. It's also lost about a pound of weight and about an inch of profile as well. All right. Up here at the top is your inhalation valve. So I'll blow through this and you can see it flutter. So that's where your air comes in, and then the air goes out to the bottom of the exhalation valve. On MSA, you never actually breathe directly into the second stage regulator. So if I'm coming off shift and I had the flu or cold or something like that, the last breath that I put in here would be the first breath you take in. You never actually breathe right inside the second stage. Okay. All right. Your nose cup. There's going to be two things that I'll probably really focus on. This is one of them, and then the lumbar pad. But when installing this, and before you start pushing it in, right now on your existing nose cups, you want to take this thing and you want to cram it all the way down inside of there, okay? That's not the case with this. So when looking at the nose cup, you see that there's a circle right here, and this will just fit perfectly onto that mechanical speaking diaphragm that I was telling you about, which means that the back side, these pieces right here, will rest on top of the mechanical speaking diaphragm, okay? If you put this in and if you cram it all the way in there like you did in the past, it's going to block that inhalation valve. About 2-3 weeks ago, I was at a combat challenge. It was a group of recruits. They were about 6 weeks in. They did their initial one, and they were going to do another one to kind of see how they had progressed. Well, one guy afterwards came up and said, "Oh my God, my airflow was so restricted. That was just brutal having to run this thing." So we took a look at his mask, and lo and behold, this was installed too far in, and he was getting strained air. So that was just like, well, you finished and everything was all right, but boy, I would imagine that would have been tough, okay? We've also seen or heard one instance of preventing first breath activation, okay? So make sure that this is installed the right way. How I like to do it is I like to take the top, hang it kind of on that mechanical speaking diaphragm, and then just run my finger around it, and then that seats it just perfectly, okay? And I will want to come around and take a look at everybody's mask to make sure that it got in the right way, all right? So as I talked about, you can still see the backside of this is resting on the top of the mechanical speaking diaphragm, okay? So something to keep your eyes peeled for, and then again, there was a department, Southern Pierce County, who was having a hard time going through fit testing. And it was just that they just had to clean their mask forever. So even like a small piece of dust or something that gets onto the exhalation valve, that's going to keep the exhalation valve open. As such, particulates enter the mask, and you have a hard time fit testing, okay? So I know it might sound silly, but I'm amazed at what I see. But just, you know, I mean, clean the mask every so often. Why not? Okay. MSA Confidence Plus. You have these little wipes right here. You have one that kind of comes like those Clorox bleach wipe containers, and you also have a concentrate solution. You always want to use Confidence Plus for two reasons. One, it will kill pathogens. Okay. And since it's not alcohol based, it will not dry out the rubber or the O-rings inside the SCBA. So that's why it's so important to use. Okay? All right. Right down here, kind of the 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock position, there's a hole right here. This is now an open airport. Okay? So on your existing mask, when you're in standby and you're breathing, there's this flutter. And that's because you're breathing through those inhalation valves and exhalation valves. It's kind of all the strained breathing. Okay? With this being an open airport, the breathing through the exhalation valve goes away. It's easier to breathe on standby, and then additionally, instances of fogging involved that disappear. Because when you go off air, you're now going to be interfacing with the outside environment. You press out the warm air that's in there, and you bring in the cooler air that's outside. Okay, so instances of fogging, my understanding is all but disappeared. Had a chance to, it was Pierce County Regional Hazmat, they had different users, old MSA, new MSA, Scott. And so when I got up and made this tall claim about instances of fogging falling off, well, there were guys who ran or Central Pierce there that are actually users of the Scba. They confirmed it. They said, absolutely, it doesn't fog like it used to. Okay? All right. Interfacing with the second stage regulator. Your bypass will always be on the right. Any voters out there that are ready to turn. You don't need to press any buttons or anything like that. You just need to put it up, click it in. Okay? Without pressing any buttons, if you wanted to come in as a quarter turn and just keep pressing, it'll find its home. Okay? If you desperately want to put the bypass on the left side, it will not click in. You press both the buttons, it won't click in. You can't do it the wrong way. Okay? Push right in. Press the bottom button to stop airflow if you so desire. One change is that the second stage regulator doesn't hang off the mast like it does right now. Okay? So MSA's added these D-rings of all four corners of the mast. They've also put this clip right here, so if you wanted to hang a mask with the second stage still attached, you can. Stop airflow, take it off, hang it. If you do want to take off the second stage, this right here is the actual functional device on the Scba. I know right now on your existing packs, if a warm breeze comes by, it'll knock the second stage out of this. Okay. This button right here, you don't have to line it up any certain way. It'll just go in, you don't have to look at it, and it'll just click into place. Okay, it'll actually rotate inside of here too. It will not come out unless you press both the buttons. Additionally, there's holes down on the bottom of this, so if you go off air, you put this in here, you close the cylinder, you can discharge the bypass with it inside the clip. Okay? Since there's now this open air port on here, you're going to have where your supplied air enters through this hole right here. This is the open air port. You now have two O-rings on your second stage. This will become part of your daily checks. Okay? You have a red one that seals the supplied air, and this gray one that will seal that open air port. These have not been a problem. I'm not calling it out. It's something that you really need to keep your eyes on. They're not falling off. They're not getting ruptured. It's just part of what you need to check on a daily basis. Okay? Dip white paint, MSA Conference Plus, super easy to take these buggers off. Any questions on the mask? Okay. We will move on. I'm going to go through kind of the harness, top to bottom. Starting right up here at the top. Shoulder straps, they're wider, they're thicker, a bit more cushioning. This is PCA, polymer coated aramid, same material that you probably find maybe the bottom of the cuffs on your bumpers, maybe on your knee. It's durable and it has a grip to it. Okay, this is here to prevent the Scba shoulder straps from sliding off the shoulders. For the longest time, MSA demanded the use of a chest strap, and in my years of doing this and all the people that I met, there's some really strong feelings about these chest straps for some reason. Some people think they're the spawn of the devil. They hate them. They hate them. Other people really like them. Very few people have any real thoughts on it at all. Okay. What I'm getting at is that you don't have to use the chest strap anymore because this helps to keep the shoulder straps on your shoulders. Okay. They're equipped, but it's not a necessity. All right. Over here, I don't need anybody to open them up. There's a series of snaps here. All right. The reason why these are put on here is a lot of it's going to fall into Chris and Joe's world. But the reason why they were put on here is that in the past, if you needed to service the control module, if you needed to service the second stage, you have to take everything apart, integrate the pneumatics. Okay. That's because you cannot slide the second stage through the shoulder straps, or the control module through the shoulder straps. Now being able to open this up, it's going to be a lot easier to do any work on them. But what's most important is that by opening these up, 2 screws down here, 1 screw right up here, you can lift all the pneumatics and all the electronics off the Scba and set them to the side. Okay? Up here, you just flatten out these stitches that go through the back frame. Flatten these out right down here, push them through the back frame. Now all your soft goods are removed from the Scba. Soft goods go inside of an extractor and they get cleaned, okay? And then South King Fire and Rescue is rolling this out. Tacoma did another thing too, where Tacoma got a bunch of hydraulic fluid all over their back frames. They couldn't get them clean no matter what they did. Confidence Splashes wasn't cutting it. So there's these sonic cleaners that a lot of people are using them to clean helmets right now or masks. And what it does is just shakes little bubbles, okay? Just water, that's all it is. They're now starting to put their back frames inside these sonic cleaners to get them clean as well, okay? So SCBAs are going through a cleaning like we had never, ever seen before. And the reason why I note that you can take all the electronics and all the pneumatics and set them off to the side in one single piece is that anytime that you make a break in the completed air system, then the SCBA has to be flow tested. So if you wanted to clean this thing in the past, you'd have to take it all apart and have it flow tested. Now you don't have to have it flow tested, which means getting these things clean are going to be way easier to do moving forward, okay? South King and Central Pierce are right there with off-the-shelf written SOPs of how they're handling full cleaning of these. And so once I get them, I'd be happy to share, okay? So your department spent a little bit extra money in order to have that happen. And it seems to be there's a lot of attention being paid to helmets, gloves, bunkers, boots, everything like that. But these things still ride around inside the apparatus with you. So the ability to clean is an important one and it's super easy to do. All right? Okay. Back frame. Gloved handle fit inside of here is rated to 1,000 pounds, and that's going to be a static load, so like a dead load. These are rated at 500 pounds over here. Same thing, a static. There's a training captain up in Woodinville that likes to put those rescue Randys inside of back frames and chuck them out of a window, okay? That would be a dynamic load, all right? So right down here, maybe because of that guy up in Woodinville, there's been a lot of reinforcement to the back frame. This is a common spot that the old MSA packs will actually crack. So lots of reinforcement through here, okay? This lumbar pad, boy, you're gonna hear me talk about this lumbar pad a lot today, okay? Right back here, there's a silver tab, pull it forward, and it will adjust with 3 different positions, okay? Additionally, this thing will rotate like this, free of the shoulder straps, because the shoulder straps actually terminate to the back frame. In the past, shoulder straps would run through the lumbar pad and wouldn't allow it to move around, okay? Finally, somebody decided that they've taken a cue from backpacking and you want to put the weight of your pack on your hips and not on your shoulders, okay? This helps get that dialed in, okay? Towards the end of this, we'll try these on. I can't tell you how many times I've done this where we talk about the lumbar pad, the importance, distributing the weight. They grab the pack and throw it over, they give it a backside pop and make them push as hard as they can, okay? No regard to the lumbar pad, okay? Well, that's how you all are trained, no problem, okay? Just take the time, really take the time to see which one is best for you, okay? But there's gonna be some tricks that I'll show you to help get that dial in. When you come on shift, you're going to know what's best for you. Come in, click it into your spot. When you need to go and do 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of training one day, this is going to save your bacon, okay? I don't do 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of training with SCBAs on, okay? So I'm not talking in the first person, but what I've heard the feedback over and over and over again. Get this thing down, okay? Really take the time and effort because it's going to save you down the road, okay? Any questions on the lumbar? Because I'm going to probably bring it up again, and I'll be happy to address it again then too. But for right now, clicks into 3 different spots, okay? And since you can't adjust the files on your back. Nothing quite like tradition in fire service. 1972 Chevy, okay? Got a full waist belt, all right? Any questions on the back frame right now? Outstanding. One singular battery pack. I know a lot of it was already, we already kind of got into it earlier when we swapped out good batteries from dead ones. But how you access and change the battery, male end of your waist belt. Push right up here to the top, push until it clicks, and then just pull it up. The battery is now removed. when cleaning the Scba, if you don't take it all the way apart and everything like that, and leave the battery in, there's an O-ring right here and an O-ring right down here that seals that. If you clean it without this in, and then you go and use it, you get a buildup just like you do on your car batteries. Okay? Now, the end of the world, I'm going to say some kind of to replace ones that have happened under warranty, but just clean it with the battery. Okay? I'm going to set this aside for just a second. All right? Okay. Fully functional waste mounted second stage keeper. Now let's talk about cylinders. The valve on the cylinder looks a little bit different from what you have in service today. It's actually the exact same valve that you have in service. Instead, there's just a new housing over it. This right here is a screw-on piece, okay? So underneath this is CJ 347 thread, which is a standardized thread pattern for all high-pressure air, okay? Inside of here is an O-ring, the O-ring that basically makes a critical connection between your high-pressure air cylinder and the Scba. The old O-ring sat right down here on the tip of the valve stem. That was part of your daily checks as well, okay? So that one goes away. One nice thing about that is that this used to be kind of out there exposed to the elements a bit, and a nick in it or a compromise to it, the O-ring would blow, and then you would lose your critical connection to all your air. And now that O-ring is housed and put away behind this device right here, okay? Dovetail fitting right back here, which will slide into the bottom of the back frame. That means when this thing is installed, it's going to line up just the right way, so you don't need to get your cylinder just the right way so you don't cross-thread it out. That goes away as well, okay? So when putting the cylinder in, the old slam dunk, please be my guest. Continue to do that as much as your heart's desire. Or you can just go in through the bottom here, okay, like that. Slide it into that dovetail fitting. Take this piece right here. You don't need to do anything except for just push it on. Closing this, you don't need to do anything except for just push it till it clicks. Okay? Button on the bottom, button on the top, pressing both, it opens up. Quick connect fitting comes off. Slide it up, pull it out the bottom. Okay? So if you folks want to bonk each other on the back of the head, keep doing the slam dunk, just be my guest all day long. If you want to try something a little bit different, go to the bottom. Okay? Slide into the spot, quick connect goes on. Now removal of the quick connect fitting. Come in like this and rotate. You're going to take your knuckles in the cylinder. I suggest that you kind of come in like this, okay, until it stops. Don't pull up and away or down and away, and it'll come right off. If you put your meat hooks on it and you're wrestling with it, trying to just tear it off there, you're doing something wrong, okay? It's actually quite simple. Getting it back on, no problem, okay? I need to take a look at a better example, because mine doesn't show very well. Yours shows well, okay? What I am wanting to show y'all try your best to keep your eyes right underneath my finger right here, okay? When you pressurize this, a little pneumatic pin pops up. Now you can't open this up, okay? When I leave the air out, kind of keep your eyes there too, air goes down, pin drops, okay? These are the little questions that I always find I get asked later on. Hey, if this thing's charged, can this open? Oh, and that's the reason why, okay? Thank you. All right, batteries removed from the Scba, okay? Another thing that I would like to point out, which I have done all morning long, is just point things out. I'm going to do that a couple more times, point a couple more things out. But the batteries removed from the Scba, okay? When you charge the Scba, you are going to have a pneumatically driven gauge on your control module, okay? You're going to get air out of your second stage. You're going to have a pneumatically driven bell that tells you when you're low on air. The air delivery on this has absolutely nothing to do with the electronics. Nothing whatsoever. This is high pressure air, a couple springs, and a plunger. And that's basically it. Okay? So regardless of the electronics, regardless of the batteries, this thing's going to give you air. It's going to tell you how much air you have when you're low on air. All right? Any questions on that? All right. I'm going to put the battery in, and I just ask that try not to mess with the batteries, turn the pack on, because if we do, it's just going to get noisy with beeps and all that other sort of stuff. We'll all have our opportunity to do that in a little bit, but for right now, we'll just leave it be. Battery. When the battery goes in, it'll turn the Scba on, okay? Lights will start to flash, you'll get a couple beeps. It will go through a self-checkup. A bar will load right down here. And when you get a green check mark, it means that all the electronic components have talked to each other, they're happy, and the pack's ready to go to work. Okay? Green check mark, ready to rock. Turn this thing off. These green buttons are ambidextrous. Either side, you just do a double tap. Beep, beep, off. And then everything turns off. Okay? Check your battery level. Say that this is sitting up inside the apparatus, and you check the batteries, hold down either one of the green buttons for about 4 or 5 seconds, and it'll tell you where your battery is at, okay? You will have 5 bars on your battery. Once it gets down to yellow, that's when you want to pull it and charge it. These batteries are going to last about 30 to 45 days, living its life on your rigs, okay? Maybe sometimes a little bit less, maybe sometimes a little bit more, but generalize. Running calls, doing this, doing that, about 30 to 45 days, okay? If you're down to 3 green bars, don't pull it and charge it, no need to. The reason why I point this out is that these are designed to go about 360 charge cycles, okay? So if these batteries last you for a month, month and a half, and if you want these things to last you 15 years, that's 1 charge a month over 15 years, that's 180 charge cycles, so they were designed to go double that. So once you're down to the yellow, pop them out, put them in, okay? Full battery, 9 hours of continuous cylinder after cylinder after cylinder usage, okay? Questions on the back? Lithium ion, much lighter weight than the alkalines. Been wildly successful. Okay. By charging the Scba, all of your electronics will turn on. Okay, your voice amp will turn on over here. Control module is going to do the same thing. You get the green check mark. The difference now is going to be reading PSI. Okay. Your voice amp over here, if you want it off, you hold it down for about 4 or 5 seconds, it'll turn off. If you want it back on, it'll turn on right away. The reason why is they don't want you to accidentally turn it off if you didn't need to. But if you want it back, it'll come back right away, okay? Even though this is blue, and even though the term Bluetooth's been tossed around a little bit over the last couple of days and this morning, this is hardwired, okay? It's hardwired to the Scba. Right down here, these 2 holes that line up with that 4 to 7 open air port, these are 2 microphones, okay? It's hardwired to the channel voice. All right? When the Scba is resting, your screen will turn off. When you pick it up, without pressing any buttons, it'll turn on, okay? That's just to help conserve battery. If you're in tight space like this and you can't get that big swing on it, no problem. Press either one of the green buttons. It'll turn on for you, okay? There's a secondary page here. The secondary page has a little bit of information on it. It will keep timing out on me, but I'll switch it back. Over here, this thermometer, again, 500 degrees inside the control module, this will go up. We get to hear that happen on this pack, and I only heard it happen once or twice on the old MSAs and there's a Fire Training Academy, okay? So the likelihood of you hearing that's pretty slim. You see where your battery's at again, the 5 different levels, okay? And then right down here is a minutes till empty calculator. The cylinders on here are a 45-minute, 4,500 PSI cylinder. The reason why it's 45 minutes is there's something called a NIOSH breathing rate. You take the cylinder, hook it up to a machine that will adhere to the NIOSH breathing rate, you get 45 minutes out of it, okay? What this will do is it will compare your breathing rate to the NIOSH breathing rate, okay? So, if I was up here just doing this dog and pony show, this is probably gonna register like 99 minutes, okay? If the big fellow starts to do a couple laps outside, that number's gonna change, it's gonna change fast, okay? So, as you're really huffing and puffing, it's gonna show that you have less time. If you stop and you come over for rehab, your time's gonna go back up again. It will constantly kind of adjust. It's gonna take about 1.5 to 2 minutes to recognize, but then it will constantly and continuously update for you, okay? Some departments have switched this screen to the main screen, which is insanely easy to do. And if there's any interest in that, I can work through it with Joe and Chris. The idea is, well, why would we need redundant PSI information? Okay? So just as a heads up, easy ways to change. All right? Okay. Heads up display. From the factory, this is set in what is called intermittent mode. So right now, even though the pack's fully charged and all the electronics on, the heads up display is not on. It has been suggested that firefighters become blind to the head with it on all the time. Okay? So how it's set from the factory is that it's going to show when you first turn it on. It'll show when you go to that 75 mark. And it will show and stay on when you get to the 50 mark and blink to amber at you. If you ever want to know where you're at, you can press either one of the green buttons and it will turn on. Okay? If you want to change this and have it on all the time, you can. If you want to change it to be completely and totally random, you can change it. Super easy to do. This is how it's set from the factory. So if you guys roll these out, oh, my HUD doesn't work. Nope. That's like I said. It'll turn on once you go through each one of those intervals, and then once you get to 50% or below, it stays on. Okay? Right up here, there's an ambient light sensor inside of here. So if you are outside and it's super bright, your heads-up display lights will be brighter. As you go into someplace dark, they'll dim out on you a little bit. Okay? When I'm on, turn them on. Okay? I'm going to shift gears away from the HUD for a second. So for right now, I'm going to let this thing rest. If you notice, anytime I went into pre-alarm, I shook the control module. Think on yours, it's back down here. So the old Scba shuffle, you know, that goes away. If you start to go into pre-alarm, you need to knock this. Doing that's not going to do anything for you anymore, okay? So it's driven through here. Once there's no movement whatsoever on that, 18 seconds it'll start. You're going to have 3 layers of pre-alarm, and then you're going to go to the 4th NFPA mandated alarm. The 4th is an NFPA mandated sound pattern and decimal level, meaning any SCBAs made after 2018 will all sound the same if you're in full alarm. Okay? Those will start out, and then we'll listen to see what they sound like. Here's the first level, second, third, this is the NFPA one, and it just repeats as such. Get that to turn off, double tap the green buttons, okay? These right back here are your speakers for all those alarms. They're called piezo speakers. They will get louder as the environment gets hot. Okay. All right. I am going to start to bleed this thing down and kind of show you all what the heads-up display looks like. Okay. 3 dots now. Control module is blinking green. At the rear of the pack, you have 4 green blinking lights as well. You can see them from the rear. You can see them from the side. You can see them from the bottom. Okay? My career as a flight attendant is only a matter of time. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I appreciate this. As we move down to your next level, okay, 2 flashing amber, and then you can see that the color palette of the Scba has changed as well. And then this red up here starts blinking as well, okay? We'll get down to low air alarm. Everything turns red, okay? This is blinking red, heads-up display is red, control module is red, Scba is red. And then right down here, a white light LED turns on to illuminate the rescue connection, okay? The idea of all of this is it's like an external heads-up display. Whoever is in charge of the fire ground or the operation can do a quick scan and have a pretty decent idea what everybody's air is at. The gap between the 50 and 33 and a third is really small. So that flashing amber, that's, like I said, there's a very small gap there. And again, give whoever's in charge to know where you're at. Now, it doesn't sound like who's in charge, you're interfacing directly with each other. Blinking up here on the second stage, the color and control module. So it's like an external heads-up display, okay? Any questions on that one? I didn't think there was going to be one. All right, well, I'm going to put it on, show y'all a couple things and best practices, all right? Did you mask legs or? Oh, it's right down here, we're good. Academically speaking, MSA would like to see you start with the waist belt. Okay, and then move to the shoulder straps. The reason why I say that is that you're going to get it anchored down on your hips first, and then you move to the shoulder straps. Now, when I say academically speaking, not a single one of you, I believe, in here is trained to do it like that. So, get your lumbar pad dialed in. Maybe do that at the very, very beginning. Know where it sits at. Then when you go grab your pack, you're going to be able to do the same thing you've always done before. Lumbar pad set right where it's supposed to be. Backside pocket, and shoulder strap for your own. Okay. Second stage, the hose is a little bit thicker. There's now some electronic cables in it. So just grabbing your second stage and bringing it up like this. Boy, that's awkward. Okay. Grabbing it, just doing the sweep across like this. It lands right where it needs to. Okay. Well, wax on, wax off. No big deal. Okay. All right. I get a miserable seal when I put these things on because I have a beard. But what I'm going to do is turn it on. We're going to hear what the voice amp sounds like. Okay. I sometimes do a little bit of blow by since I have a beard. You can tighten out and shoot the arm. Scba turns on. Again, all the electronics turn on. You get the green check mark. You're ready to go. Okay. Second stage comes up. First breath activation. On your first breath activation, voice amp turns on. Okay. After the Scba starts to recognize my breathing patterns, like it already did there, it's going to filter out the sound of me inhaling. So the Darth Vader effect kind of goes away. Okay. The more excited you get, voice amp will get a little bit louder. Talk normal. Talk quiet. That's what it sounds like, right? Turn the voice amp off. This is what it sounds like when you're off air. Okay, you're going to need to kind of step it up a little bit, but you can still hear. It's not like it's completely closed on. Okay. When it's back on, you're ready to rock. Okay. If you take the second stage off, about 5 or 6 seconds, this will turn off automatically. Okay. There we go. Okay. One back. First press, turn it back off, okay? Stop airflow. First breath brings it back. So if you accidentally bump this, not the end of the world, you just breathe it in again and it starts the airflow again. Turn it off. Remove the mask. Hang it up right over here if you want to, okay? Any questions on all that?
Does the top button do anything?
Right here? No. You want me to talk about radios at all? Okay. All right, so Bluetooth is built into this Scba. We need to show up, we just need to unlock it. It doesn't cost any extra money, it's just a quick and easy step, okay? When I was doing one of these initial presentations, it was at the 1845 in New Fall. Conference room here, offices, stairway down, apparatus bay, okay? And then their Scba tech there kind of warmed him up and said, hey, can you help us do this demonstration? He said, sure. So we have some radios with us. Your new Kenwood radios that you're going to get will link up with this Scba, okay? While I was up there doing the presentation for like the first 45 minutes, it was just this the whole time. Who is this greaseball? What's it going to tell us, okay? So we get to the radios, and his name's Stu Rowe, he's a lieutenant up there. He heads downstairs with one of the Scbas and a radio, and he seems to be kind of taking forever. And we start to hear some rumbling down there, or whatever it may be. Then he comes on and starts running comms, okay? You know, whatever station it is, this is who it is. Can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, so on and so forth. All right, run something back to me. And then Stu was just like, are you sure you can hear me? And so he said, yeah, loud and clear. Well, Stu was down there. He had the Scba and low air alarm as well as full digital alarm. He had started up a gas-powered PPV fan and he was holding a chainsaw full yoke. The Bluetooth connection takes these two microphones and directly connects it to the radio. Okay? Right now, you will have a voice amp right here and you'll have your remote mic right over here. You will broadcast out and press a button. It'll pick up what you're saying, but it's also going to pick up said PPV fan. It will pick up said chainsaw over here. Because when you press this button, it's just going to gather everything out there. Okay? So, at that point, all the arms came open, they circled around, and they were actually quite engaged at that point. How it works is that there's these little keychains that have an RFID embedded inside of it. We will take your radio through this MSA software. This isn't, the keychains are about 25 extra bucks. The rest of it doesn't cost anything more. This MSA software will grab the Bluetooth address of the radio. It'll write it to this little keychain. You're probably going to want to keep this keychain and the radio together. Okay? Come over here to the Scba. Hold down the green button until you get the battery. Press this red button. And now it says RFID. It's wanting you to come and station the pack with that little RFID. Take it, tap it right down here. It beeps. Now that radio and this Scba are married. The only Bluetooth signal that this Scba will pick up is the one that we just told it to read and the one that we just married it to. Okay? And that's it. Okay? That's the initial setup that you have to do. You need to write the radio to the tag. Well, once you've written the radio to the tag, you don't have to do that anymore. Okay? So, you're bunked up, Scbas are on, radio comms are coming through. You go on air. And remember when I was saying first breath activation turns on the microphone? This needs to turn the microphone. Automatic handshake of the Bluetooth with the radio. You don't have to press anything. You don't have to do anything except for just take a breath. When you go off air, when I was tapping off for that 5 or 6 seconds, when the microphones turn off, they'll automatically drop the Bluetooth connection to the radio. That way your radio is going to run just the way it was before. Okay. So before you go on air, your radios work just like they do today. When you go on air, automatic handshake with Bluetooth, utilize it. Still press the button over here. You can have your comms return either through your radio or you can have your comms return through the chest mounted voice amp. Okay, and then when you go off air, automatically drops on Bluetooth. I mean, it's seamless. It truly is that simple. Okay, with the new radios that you're having, that will work. We come in with the same local RFIDs. We unlock Bluetooth on this, and then we would help write it in. And I offered to set you guys up with 2 or 4 and try it out, see if it's something that would benefit your department.
Something to keep in mind, we don't currently have that functionality set up on the packs right now. The 8 new portables that are on the new engines are the ones that would be able to hook up to the packs. And we would have some sort of process that our packs are labeled engine 91.1, our radios are labeled engine 91.1. Those would have to be married up. This is going to be something that the officers are going to have to sit down and discuss and do a pros and cons with and go from there. That's just showing you guys the functionality of it.
Mm-hmm. Assigning radios and SCBAs to seats would be critical. It would be no way to do it. Okay. It's been described to me, our friends at Puget Sound Fire and Rescue, they said that the Bluetooth comms are the greatest feature of the entire SCBA. Yeah, it's that good. And so, as Chris suggested, you know, we can play with it, we can see if it makes sense, if it would work for you guys. But it's here, it's available, and it could happen. Okay, it would now be more of how your department rolls it out if it works. All right. I think we're at the point to trying these things on. When you try them on, we'll kind of go around and we'll get them dialed in with a lumbar pad, trying to do a couple different spots. When the pack is on, if your voice amp is sitting right here on your shoulder, probably means you should adjust the pack up. Okay? If you have a big gap right in between your shoulder blades of the pack, it means that you should probably adjust the pack down on the lumbar pad. But if you folks would like to put them on, we got wipes to clean the mask when we're all done. Give them a whirl, put them on.